going on, Jerome? It's a beautiful Saturday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. So the Minnesota Timberwolves took it to the Lakers up 2-1 in the series, Wolves in 5. Anthony Edwards, Demon Time. Jaden McDaniels. I love it, man. Just like Batman and Robin right before our eyes. Randall had a great game, too. La Flop allegedly had a good game, despite the flopping. Luka Donna B. Whatever. Yeah. But you know why the one? Because Justin Jefferson was right there on the sidelines. Same thing with Aaron Jones sitting right behind the Wolves bench. It's kind of funny. Darisaw, Addison were also at the game. It's good times. Love how Minnesota sports support each other, right? And also, how many Hall of Famers have the Vikings drafted so far? 2 this year. It's fantastic. Also fantastic. April Draft Month fundraiser. You guys crushed it. So our goal for the month was $2,500. Currently cresting over $3,300, and just thank you so much for that, because Twin Cities, Seoul, South Korea adoption charities, organizations, they need help, and just a way to pay it forward, and something that causes very near and dear to me. And also, it's great hearing the stories. People chiming in how their adoption stories, either they're adopted, they've adopted their own kids, and it's just fantastic. So thank you very much for paying it forward. Draft month, it's a lot of fun, man. Also, very late last night, so the Vikings with the trade, so they traded with the Texans. Kwesi and Nick Caserio, they got each other on speed dial. What up? So the Vikings traded 97 and 187. The Vikings moved down 5 spots at the back end of the 3rd round, moved up 45 spots in the 5th round, from the 6th round to the 5th round. So the Vikings upgrading some day 3 capital, moving down 5 spots, and the Vikings drafting Ty Felton, speedy receiver from Maryland. 96 catches, 1,124 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns last year. Led the Big Ten in catching and in receptions and receiving yards. So thing about it is, like, a lot of people made a big deal. It's like, oh, he's a 4th round talent. So you're bitching and moaning about the Vikings drafting a 4th round guy with the last pick of the 3rd round. But also, it's like, all right, we're stacked at receiver. Well, it's true, and it's sort of not true at the same time. And if only I had the offensive depth chart in front of me, because I am a professional. All right, so offensive depth chart. All right, so Jefferson is Jefferson. Addison is going to be facing a 3-game suspension at some point. Rondale Moore may not be healthy by training camp until training camp. Speedy Naylor's in a contract year, and Tim Jones is a special teams guy. So what else is there, right? And I think the Vikings did go true BPA in this spot, because I know that people have been clamoring, well, the Vikings have to go secondary. What about corner? What about safety? What about it? What if the Vikings are actually happy with their secondary right now? Anyone ever consider that? I think that certainly could and should be a possibility where, hey, at corner, Murph is rock solid. Isaiah Rodgers is seen as a 3-down player. Mekhi Blackman is going to be back. He was penciled in to be a starter before last year. Okudah, as well as Nudie McLaughlin. So I feel like it's okay to have some confidence in the cornerback room. Also, Tavier Thomas plays some solid slot on top of being a really good special teamer. Plus, Theo Jackson, who he is for real, definitely being a 1-for-1 replacement for Beasley. The coaching staff believes. Coach staff absolutely believes. So I think that the narratives of the Vikings need a corner, the Vikings need a safety, are overblown, because they easily could have gone safety at 24, Starks or Emmett Warrior. They easily could have gone cornerback at 97 or before they traded down. So obviously, Kwesi and the Vikings, they disagree. And as I said at the jump, like, you can have takes on the draft, sure, but at a certain point, like, fall in line. Like, the team made a decision. The players are on the team. Root for the players as opposed to, what your draft board says. All right. And it happens to me all the time. I fall in love with a couple draft prospects. They don't join my team. That's fine. I'm rooting for the guys that are there. And I love me some Donovan Jackson. Ty Felton, they did a ton of work on during the offseason. Really got to know him. And Felton, beyond him just being a speed demon, like, he does have really nice short area quickness as well as acceleration, and a lot of his big plays at Maryland, behind just dropping bombs all over the place, was him taking a mundane short pass, swing pass, whatever, and then busting it, taking it to the house. So I think that's something that the Vikings could and should have in front of them. Also, this offense is legit. This offense is legit because adding Jackson, who likely is going to start from day one, Felton is at minimum going to be a great special teamer, could get in the return game mix, could be a punt gunner. Oh, you're spending a third-round pick on a punt gunner? Yes. Are they a part of the team? Yes. Are they very important? Yes. Also, upside as a receiver? Yes. And if you're drafting Ty Felton to be your wide receiver one, you're going to be sorely disappointed. But him coming in, at best, wide receiver 4 to start out, get his feet wet, learn from Jefferson, learn from McCardle, learn from Kevin O'Connell, and just go from there, man. And I do think that Felton could be a wide receiver 3, maybe even 2 down the line, and just have him, a couple snaps a game, just get in there and drop bombs, man. It's going to be fantastic. All right. Also, speaking of the Vikings' first-round pick, Donovan Jackson, who indeed is for real. Also, you kind of forget how surprisingly tall Kwesi is, right? So Kevin O'Connell's 6'5", Jackson's 6'5", and Kwesi 6'5", 6'6", right? Because I think Kwesi said that he played intramurals basketball at Princeton, which is fantastic, man. Just really good. But Donovan Jackson introduced to the media jackals. Also, this is looking good. This is looking good. I forget the artist. Their watermark is up in the corner, but this edit is clean. This edit is clean. Just look and just imagine Donovan Jackson and Darrisaw on that left side. Hey, you could talk about offensive line, whatever. Should have been D-line, should have been safety, should have been corner, whatever. Jackson, Darrisaw on that left line, that's scary times, man. That is absolutely frightening for everyone else. It's kind of great. But you're rocking the 7-4, looking fantastic. Also, so beyond the, I hate to lose, all that stuff, ready to win a championship, working hard, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that you expect from a press conference. But his cat really stole the show. His family's cat in terms of the draft video. Kevin Seifert, ESPN, who's not Carl Gershman. We call him Leo, but his government name is Leonardo DiCaprio, which is just fantastic. And also, I just love the amount of pets that are taking over. It's really good. Plus, Jackson, in that, he's upbeat. He's team first. And I feel like he's just going to mesh in so well with this offensive line. I think that overall, O'Neal's pretty chill. Ryan Kelly can get after things. Fry seems chill. Darrisaw is obviously chill. I think that Jackson will fit in nicely here mentality-wise with these 5 guys up front. It's going to be great. Also, speaking of offensive line, Doogie, super impressed after listening to Donovan Jackson's introductory presser and then sitting down with him. Darrisaw, O'Neal, and Kelly are among Vikings to already touch base with him. Oh, I guess Will Fry's Spuds, maybe his phone is busted. I'll work out. But, again, that's great leadership by Darrisaw, O'Neal, and Kelly, reaching out to the new guy. Because, offensive linemen are weird because there's no sub-packages for O-line. Right? And you always have your 5, no matter what the play, no matter what the down, no matter what the distance. And they sit in formation in the meeting room. They sit in formation when they're eating. They'll naturally just walk to practice in formation. It's kind of awesome, man. I love offensive linemen. It's great. But day 2, a couple of notable picks. So the Seahawks moved up, taking Nick Emenwari. So the Seahawks coming away with Gray Zabel as well as Emenwari. 2 of our favorites from the draft and players that are frequently mocked to the Vikings. Judkins goes slightly ahead of teammate Trevion Henderson, who, Judkins and Henderson would be plumbers if it wasn't for Donovan Jackson, Ohio State. Probably not. But Judkins stays in state, goes to the Browns. Henderson to the Patriots, I think, is fantastic. Also, Henderson's pass protection is going to do wonders for Drake May. LB3 ends up in Chicago. Bust. What has Ben Johnson ever done for a shifty slot receiver during his days? Whatever. Tyler Shuck. So we'll get to Shedeur. We'll touch on Shedeur at the end because it really is the story of the draft so far. But Tyler Shuck being the 3rd quarterback off the board after Ward at 1, Jackson Dart at 25. But the Saints. The Saints had multiple swings at Shedeur Sanders, except they passed every single time. Same thing with the Steelers. Same thing with the Browns. Same thing with the Raiders. So I don't know. Will Johnson finally comes off the board with the Cardinals. And honestly, Will Johnson, if his knees are good to go and they aren't pulled pork, Cardinals get great value. in this spot. Also, they had Walter Nolan in the first round, so that's nice pieces for that defense. And then you had a run on offensive linemen in the NFC North. Anthony Felton, a supersized tackle from NC State. Ozzy Trapillo from Boston College, as well as Tate Ratledge from Georgia. So they're scared. They are scared because, Jonathan Allen. Javon Hargrave. We're coming at your ass. Whoa. We're after that ass. We're just going to whoop somebody's ass. There's going to be a lot of ass involved. Thank you. Then at the back end of the second round, Omar Norman Lott, Andrew Makuba, two of my favorites, end up going second round. And then so the Lions, like, they get a lot of leeway, right? Because, they've drafted well over the last couple of years, but I don't get this one. So Isaac Tesla at 70, they traded a third-round pick and then two future third-round picks to move up to go get him. And I don't know. Like, traits-wise, he's fine, but his 1 year production at Arkansas, the pride of Hillsdale, I don't know. Like, I like Tesla. Like, he would have been fine as like a day 3 pick, but giving up 3 third-rounders essentially to move up to go get him, I don't know. Siobhan Ravel fell to the third round to the Cowboys. He's coming off that ACL, but yeah. If he would have fell a little bit further, I think the Vikings should have considered going up, go get him, but it is what it is. And like I said, maybe they're perfectly happy with their corners. Some players are still available. Day 3, of course, Shedeur Sanders. Jalen Lane is in my ear, in my eye. Joshua Farmer from Florida State. The Vikings did a little bit of work on him. Scadaboo is there. Dylan Sampson. A couple of really solid running backs in the mix there. Devin Neal. DJ Giddens also there. Billy Bowman, of course, is our guy. Marcus Bowe was a top 30 visit for the Vikings. Quincy Riley, super feisty corner. I like Ty Robinson, just all over the place, pressures and heat. Could be really good. Vikings don't have a pick until the 5th round, so they got 2 5th-rounders. I believe it's 139 and 142. Now, I wish I had that in front of me. Oh, wait, I do. Hold on. 139 and 142. So we're going to have to wait a little bit on day 3 as well, but there will be some talent there. And with Sanders falling out of the first round, I guess not surprising, but him not going day 2, a little bit more surprising. So with Sanders, the takes are all over the place. And of course, on one end, it's collusion against Deion, against Shedeur. I don't think it's that. I think that Shedeur had a fine career at Colorado. Wasn't as impressive as some others, but I think that he certainly is in the mix to be an NFL quarterback. I don't think that he's a guy that you're going to have start right away, which is pretty evident here because, people say like, oh, it's his cocky and arrogant attitude. Oh, it's the jewelry. It's all everything. I don't think it's that because if he had the skill set of Cam Ward, he still would have been, top 3 pick, right? But he wasn't, right? And Sanders, like he does have a solid arm. Accurate when he's kept clean. Wasn't kept clean very often at Colorado. But, tough kid. Always came back. Kind of threw his teammates under the bus at times. But I think overall, like, Shedeur Sanders, like, there's something to work with there. But it's, people say it's like, the Kaepernick collusion. I don't see it as that. I see it more as Tebow. Now, obviously, he's a more functional NFL quarterback than Tebow ever was. But the don't want to say off the field stuff because that's a negative connotation, but with Tebow there was always something. The Tebow mania, the zealots, and Tebow would have been fine as a backup quarterback, QB3, fullback, Taysom Hill before Taysom Hill, but you can't have him on your roster as a backup because of everything that comes along with him, right? And with Shedeur, like it or not, like he is a polarizing player in the media, as well as on social media, as well as with the fans. Plus, if you're a coach, say you're a coach on thin ice, right? I think that's one of the reasons why the Giants did not take Shedeur Sanders at any point. But if you're a coach on thin ice, like and Shedeur's on your team, every single waking moment, every single mistake that you make, oh, Deion Sanders, oh, Deion's coming, oh, Deion's going to coach his kid, oh, Deion's coming to your team. Most coaches don't want that. All right, so I don't think it's active collusion. I think it's 32 separate teams just making business decisions, right? And also, Shedeur reportedly only interviewed with 5 or 6 teams. So the teams that didn't even interview him, they may not even be in the market, right? And the 5, 6 teams, reportedly interviews did not go great. So they just might be making decisions elsewhere. So the Browns have multiple chances at him. They took Dylan Gabriel. Jalen Moreau actually went ahead of him too. Also, what's pretty telling is that the Raiders have had multiple opportunities to draft Shedeur, and I guess Tom Brady had been working with Shedeur, mentoring him. So they're just like, no. Even though I think Shedeur would be a perfectly fine backup for Geno, maybe heir apparent down the line for the Raiders, but I don't know. It's like it's a weird situation. I think there's a small chance he might go undrafted, right? And then that's just a whole nother to do. But do I think it's an active conspiracy and collusion by the league to keep him out? Why would they want to keep him out? Like Shedeur and his, Shedeur is good for ratings. Like he's like, I mean, sometimes when he talks is like WWE promotions, right? Dion is obviously good for the media, good for the league, right? And so I don't know why they would have incentive to blackball him. I think what happens is that there's only 5 or 6 teams that are actually in the business for Shedeur, and all of them are just like, eh. I think that's what it comes down to. But I think he'll get drafted at some point today, but we'll see. Anyways, that's it. Vikings news dump for this beautiful, wonderful, amazing Saturday. Enjoy day 3 of the draft. Keep it tuned here. We'll have some videos and some stuff and things and stuff. You guys are the best. Skol production value.